You're watching a TGM production. Hello and welcome to Tom Mason, The Interviews, the series that is inspired by Parkinson The Interviews. We are back this time with a brand new computer, so that means more HD on the camera, less fuzzy, more unfuzzy. That joke went nowhere because I couldn't remember where I was going to go with that. But we do digress. We're back with another glorious, amazing, original new interview. My guest today is best known for Art Master. It's the one and only Emily Brown.
Hello.
Oh. So we shall start at the beginning because Julie Andrews says it's a good place to start. And in
Mhm.
the 5 years I've been doing this, I've not disagreed with her. How did you get into the industry we call media?
Oh, goodness me. Well, I did a film TV degree. Before that, I did lots of youth theatre and singing lessons and dancing lessons. My parents put me into all sorts of very artsy things. And then I went and did a film and TV degree, which nobody ever asked me about. But I did apply to work at the BBC as a runner, making teas and coffees. And I got the job.
Mm,
And that was amazing. I was basically over the moon, thought I'd won the lottery, and but I had to make 100 teas and coffees every hour for different editors because I was in post-production. So I take a trolley round and deliver teas and coffees and snacks to editors and producers who are cutting BBC shows. And then I kind of basically volunteered for everything I could while I was at the BBC on weekends. So I was volunteering on Strictly Come Dancing or How to Solve a Problem Like Maria, lots of Graham Norton shows, Children in Need.
mm,
That's where I met Ben. And yeah, I kind of went from being a runner to researcher, assistant producer.
yeah,
Then I was made redundant from the BBC and I became a TV director from
yeah,
then onwards.
yeah. And when you were a runner and when you walked into these editing rooms, did you have to sign some NDA so then you didn't give away any of the secrets that you were viewing?
It was probably somewhere in my contract already.
Yeah,
There's probably something in there that there's definitely clauses about presenting conducting yourself outside work in a way that is becoming of a BBC employee. And yes, you're not supposed to kind of you've got to be there's all sorts of rules and you've got to be careful about what you post on your social media accounts and things
yeah,
like that. Like you're not supposed to be too political or you've got to kind of be on best behavior. But I don't, there wasn't like a an NDA on each door to go and kind of go into each room. It probably would have been a blanket thing
yeah,
covering the whole contract.
yeah.
Yeah. But I
And
did get to see a lot of things
yeah.
going into those rooms.
And it would have been exciting because when you watch those programs, if you were a fan of those, you could see what stayed and what didn't because they might have edited it once and then they might have edited it again to see because they felt that them bits didn't work. Do you think that made it more exciting because you got sort of a further insight into what was going on to these programs?
Oh, it was super exciting. I also got to talk to the directors and the producers, and sometimes they would let you sit in and
Yeah,
watch their process, which was incredibly useful kind of for my career going forward, kind of learning how they work and trying to kind of cherry pick which techniques I would try and use myself later on. Um, and working on in the studios was very exciting, being close to all the stars and seeing what goes into the show and all the equipment and just the volume of people involved to make a show that big. And then sometimes you'd even be asked to stand in or sit in a seat or be in the background. And so sometimes you'd even see yourself on TV. So it was, yeah, very exciting time, especially when you're working on Strictly Come Dancing and that music kicks in, the theme music, and everyone stamps their feet. It's the most exciting thing to be in the studio at that point because like the kind of vibe is buzzing
yeah,
and it's just incredible.
yeah. And one of the interesting things that I heard about Structure Come Down to is that Matt Berry is in the theme tune. And because it's practically, technically the same theme tune all around the world, I don't know what he's done with his contract, but he gets none of the money every time the theme tune plays. He never gets a single cent. So he's sat on this Zoom call telling all the cast members from What Do We Do in the Shadows that he is earning literally nothing from every time an episode of Strictly plays out. And there will be, well, there's like millions of versions, probably on every week if you watch every version. But I just find that fascinating that he's messed up his contract so much. He's like, he could have been a multi-millionaire. Like Alex Horn, he could have been a multi-millionaire. I don't think Alex Horn is a multi-millionaire, but they could be if they change the
It's,
contract.
it's not fair, is it? Definitely should have been more fair. And
Yeah,
I wouldn't be surprised if Alex has almost a million. I don't know.
yeah. Oh, well,
Done
and
well for
what?
himself, that kid.
Yeah, yeah, he has with Iceland and Estonia getting versions of Taskmaster. So
Yeah.
the empire's growing, um, including that duck that he has lying around. But one of the things you've worked on, speaking of Alex Honnold, where did the idea come from for creating the unique Art Master?
Um, well, I was a massive, massive fan of Taskmaster since the beginning. Absolutely loved the show. And I live in Chesham,
Yeah,
as you know, just around the corner from Alex.
yeah,
And a lot of the scenes from Taskmaster are actually filmed in Chesham. So we're, as a town, we're very proud of that. And we kind of feel like we own Taskmaster a bit. Because there's lots of scenes filmed at Chesham Football Club and all sorts of places around on the High Street and
mm,
JPS Stationers, and even with the mayor of Chesham.
yeah,
So, yeah, we've always felt like we owned Taskmaster a little bit. And whenever I watch the show, I always feel my first thought is always, I wonder how I would do if
yeah,
I could do that task. And I'm sure everyone thinks the same thing. And so I thought, wouldn't it be cool if members of the audience got to have a go at some of the tasks?
yeah,
And I thought, wouldn't it be cool if we did a big live show in Chesham? And so local people could get up on stage and have a go at stuff. Um, and then the idea for Art Master was it being just art tasks.
yeah,
And the reason I went with that was because I had a meeting with Avalon,
mm,
who very kindly let me have the rights, kind of gave me permission to create a sort of spin-off and to use the music even, and all the kind of elements
yeah,
in the new Art Master Live show. But one of the stipulations was they liked my idea of it being just art tasks
yeah,
because I did pitch, we could just do Taskmaster live on stage, or we could do something like different, make it slightly different
yeah,
and do Art Master. And they said we like that idea because it's slightly different. Um, and um, and also what with Chesham being a very creative town with lots of artists and filmmakers and directors and things, it
yeah,
made sense to make it just creative tasks. So that was the idea, and then I had the idea of having the two, splitting the audience in two,
mm,
having two teams, and having teams compete against each other, to make it more competitive and fun.
yeah,
And then, of course, we were going to need two team captains. And so I found some local celebrities to be those team captains. That was Fiona Allen, and Ninia Benjamin.
yeah.
So it just kind of grew from there and became a huge thing that was hugely successful and sold out. And everyone keeps asking me to do another one.
Yeah. And do you think that what made it popular is because it's a unique spin on a program that is gone stratospheric?
Yeah, I think what made it popular was because everyone loves Taskmaster
Yeah.
and everyone loves Alex Horn and they love that he's local. Nobody wants him to ever move house. We want him to stay forever. And I think that they just love the show and they know it was kind of guaranteed fun. You knew that not only was he going to be amazing on the night, and make everyone laugh, but just watching your friends get up on stage making idiots of themselves,
Yeah.
getting covered in paint and making rubbish art and being judged for it. It was a recipe. You could, not well, things did go wrong, but in a good way. But yeah, it was a recipe for success.
Yeah. And I think those type of shows where the audience gets involved are becoming like not like excluding pantomime, so that's a separate entity, but like popular entertainment that is less pantomimic, but they're becoming more. Why do you think that those type of shows are becoming popular? Because like Dick and Dom did theirs that everyone walked away covered in custard, that was popular as well. Why do you think those type of shows are becoming more popular?
Well, yeah, I've been thinking about this a lot lately, because I've also been working on Squid Games, the live experience.
Yeah,
And I think these live immersive experiences are becoming really popular. I think it's kind of maybe even a reaction to AI and
yeah,
technology and wanting to be away from technology, between doing something,
yeah,
physically there, making something with your hands or being involved in something that doesn't involve technology too much. I think that's actually, I think that's actually quite appealing
yeah.
right now.
Yeah, and I think that the when you see like, oh, you can come and do like the Gladiators live experience or the Cube, and obviously the only one that I think never works when you watch it is the Traitors, because they're all just you sat there for 2 hours on a round table not doing much, and I do think that that would get boring after 45 minutes of not actually moving from a seat, just lifting up and down a blindfold like a yo-yo. But I
You'd
think.
need, yeah, you'd need a really good cushion, wouldn't you?
Yeah, yeah, and what's interesting is that all the hosts they've got are all actors anyway, so they've got like soon to be very famous people just walking around pretending to be Claudia Winkleman for 2 hours, which is something most people want to do these days, because Claudia Winkleman wigs are easy to buy, apparently. But moving swiftly away from that, one of the things you've worked on, I think, is it's interesting in its history of what it was originally to where it became and what was happened with the brand. But what was it like working on Shop Smart Save Money?
Oh, well, that was a lovely team of people. And it was actually quite a nice experience because normally, my day job is that I'm a shooting producer director, so that involves me doing all my own camera work and sound and lighting, as well as directing and producing and doing all, it's all in one person. It's all kind of one man band really, one girl band, and having an assistant with you, and that's it. There's just two of you on location usually. But with Shop Smart Save Money, what was quite nice about that was most of the time I was with a crew.
Hmm,
So I had a cameraman and soundy and other team members. It's a bigger team. So a lot less lifting and carrying
yeah,
and a lot less pressure to kind of be worrying that there's not going to be a malfunction with the camera or that you're going to record bad sound and things like that. So that was a very nice experience. The presenters were very nice.
yeah,
Um, and yeah, it was interesting. It's very, very specific genre,
hmm,
about, saving money and I remember filming a scene at a family's house, and this I did actually film myself
yeah,
without a crew, but this was filming them following a recipe that had been recommended, like for very cheap ingredients, so they could save money on their meals. And filming people cooking and eating is always very tricky, especially when it's kind of fly on the wall style or uh, factual, so that it has to kind of be as authentic as possible, and you're trying to get their reactions
yeah,
um, they because I need to get their reactions to how it tastes, but and I also need to film it and cover it,
yeah,
and you're fighting against time because the food's going to go cold and it's not going to taste as good, and so they're not going to give the best reaction. So I remember that being quite tricky. But then we also did a day with the presenter where they went through their finances and gave them some tips. And yeah, it was a very nice experience. Not it wasn't a long contract. As a shooting PD, you do such a mixture of contracts and things. So sometimes you're working on something for a year, if you're lucky. Often you're working on something for 3 months,
yeah,
and occasionally do something where it's just a handful of days. And that was something that was just a handful of days. So I didn't get to spend a huge amount of time with that team, but they were very lovely.
yeah.
And it was fun.
Yeah. And do you think that that type of program it became like semi like well received because of it? It appealed to the audience that needed that type of assistance. Do you think that's why that format went on to be semi popular and be a returning format?
Yeah, well, it's a good value for money format. It's solving a problem.
Yeah,
any documentary or TV show or any kind of content that solves a problem, and YouTube's the same.
Yeah.
You know, if you provide people with a solution or information or educational content, it's going to be very popular. Um, and I think a lot of people have, I think it's had a big impact on a lot of people. You know, help people with their finances and with make better choices, and um, you know, that's a great thing.
Yeah, and I think that it showcases things that I don't think other channels will have shown. I don't think anywhere else will show a couple trying out some steam cleaners to clean the windows in their showers. I don't think any other channel would touch that. Like straight 20 minutes of them going, oh, that's not good. Oh, that's steamy. Oh, and it's like you watch it going, this used to be called the Gadget Show, and you think, wow, that it just becomes weird, but it becomes slightly entertaining or someone ironing. But do you think that because it's like mundane issues, do you think that's why the viewers return because it's like you're not having like oh someone's having a drone issue and the left wing of the drone keeps falling off, but it's like mundane like they need to iron on the go or they need to find a quicker solution to clean their toilets.
That's a really good point,
Mm.
actually, that it's relatable, isn't it? It's kind of things that everyone can relate to, problems everyone's having. And I imagine that that's part of the conversation with the production team when they're pitching ideas.
Yeah.
You know, what's an idea what's an issue that everyone's having at home right now? Um, yeah, that's definitely a consideration I expect in the kind of prep for those when they're scripting and putting together episodes. Um, yeah.
Yeah. And on the same lines of relatable Channel 5, depending on what you're gonna call that channel these days, 5 the letter or 5 the number or 5 the word. Who knows? Apart from Channel 5. One of the other things we've worked on is it's interesting in a sense of it's one of those shows that you wouldn't necessarily choose to watch, but when you do watch it, you get sucked into it. It's like if you watch The Real Housewives of London, you're not really into it, but once you see it once, then you're into it. What was it like working on Rich House, Poor House?
Yeah. Well, I have two very different experiences because the first time I worked on Rich House Poor House, I worked on it twice,
Yeah,
um, many years ago. Um, and that was a great experience. And what was I was following the poor family, or the you know the lower income family, getting to stay in a very a huge house and having an amazing week and getting to learn have piano lessons and getting to do some very fun things, go on shopping sprees. Um, and that was a great experience. It felt very creative. Um, you know, these things are always very difficult because, um, you know, they're such small teams and you're so, you're kind of really stretched. The budgets are so tiny, so there's so few of you and you're having to do multitask a
yeah,
lot. And there's two teams. There's one team following the high income family and one of the low income family, and you're supposed to kind of communicate throughout the week, to kind of feed information back and forth, so that you can make choices about what you're going to film that's going to complement scenes that are going to complement each other, you know, that are going to follow each other, scenes that will follow each other in the story when they're edited together. Um, and my first time round, I remember that particular part of the job being tricky because we were both so busy and stretched and it being difficult to share information, but we somehow managed to do it and the episode was great. But I remember that being difficult. And then the second time I worked on it was more recently. And oh, actually, the first time, that was a funny story. On the first time I worked on it, I was following this lovely single mum, and I, for some reason, I was filming a scene with her where she was in the bath because I think she decided that she wanted to have a really like they had an amazing bathtub and
yeah.
an amazing bathroom that was like she was saying it was like the size of her lounge or something. This bathroom, and she just really wanted to have a relaxing bath with a glass of champagne, and she'd never done that before, and so. I was filming her in the bath, and she must have been wearing a swimming costume or something. Um, and all these bubbles, and she was having a drink, and and I was interviewing her, and, she's, in the bathtub and doing a classic kind of bathtub scene, and she'd had too much, a couple of glasses too many or something, and she actually threw up in the bath. And I was like, oh my God, I had to like decide whether to carry on filming or not. And I was like, no, I'll put the camera down. This isn't fair. I was like, gosh, you okay? And obviously your first responsibility is to check they're okay and to the health and well-being of your contributor.
Yeah.
And she was fine. She laughed it off, it was funny. But that always stuck in my mind as a funny moment. And I had to kind of afterwards, I had to kind of call up the office and they call it escalate the issue up
Yeah.
further up to let people know, by the way, this has happened. What do you want me to do? Do I need to call a doctor and all this? And luckily they were like, no, it's fine. Because it was like 10 o'clock at night or something. Um, but yeah, so that was a good learning curve as well to kind of try and keep a better eye on how much your contributors are having to drink. Yeah. And the second time was just I was filming in Wales, and it was just even more like several years had passed in between filming with them for the first time and the second time. And it's a big ask. You're in the middle of nowhere and you're responsible for delivering a show. You're out there and you only have one or two assistants with you. And I'm doing all the camera work, all the sound, all the lighting, all the filming, all the directing, everything. And I just have an assistant to do the paperwork with me and to drive me around and stuff. And so you're filming from morning until late evening every day for
Yeah.
2 weeks. And it's it's a lot of pressure to kind of hand over this footage at the end of the shoot and to make sure you've captured everything, that you've got enough material to put together a show. You've got enough funny moments, you've got enough interesting advice and takeaways and Jeopardy and all this. And it was very stressful. I had lovely contributors, really interesting, and I learned a lot actually about finance because I was following the rich family this time. So
Yeah.
I got to learn a lot about business and how they made their money, and that was fascinating. Um, but it was so this is an example of how budgets have been so slashed since over those like I don't know 8 years since I'd first done it. Is that on my first week, my first day on the job, when I turned up to the office, there weren't enough desks for us, for all the directors. So I had to sit in the corridor on the floor um, with a laptop to write my schedules and to write my kind of shot list and things. I didn't even have like a desk to sit at for the couple of days I had to do preparation. So it was a lot more stressful the second time just because budgets had been slashed further, and we were just kind of having to make do. Um, and that when you're in the middle of nowhere, that's kind of those kind of things happen too. You notice that the accommodation is a bit more rough around the edges, and or things haven't been done properly sometimes, and you're having to make phone calls and say my accommodation hasn't been booked. But it was still really fun. The episode came together really well, and very interesting group of people to follow for the week.
Yeah, and when you walk into these spaces where the people are going to be for that duration, is that are your reactions similar to their reaction, or are you just more focused on what's going on rather than going, wow, this is quite big?
Oh, I'm definitely going wow, definitely. Yeah, I've seen a few amazing places, not just on that show, but on other things I've worked on, and been in awe and kind of yeah, it's a nice it's a very nice environment to work in when you can um be in a big house with lots of space to move around rather than worrying about where you're going to put your kit and things. But yeah, you also have to kind of get the blinkers on back on and get on with it as well because you don't have a lot of time.
Yeah,
When I turn up to these locations to start filming, you've probably got like maybe 3 minutes to have small talk, and then you've got maybe an hour to set up, maybe half an hour.
yeah,
Remember, there's only two of you. There's an assistant and me, and we've got a camera, three lights, and one or two microphones to set up as well. So it's all systems go.
yeah. And when you're in this situation where you've got your contributors and the new in this environment for this example, is it harder to make sure that nothing gets broken because you know that you it's going to be harder to try and replace it because it might be like a mink vase that you're not too sure if it's real or fake because you've not had it evaluated. Do you think that that's another pressure added on to the process?
Yeah, big time. Yeah, yeah. That like sometimes I will sort of insist that people move really valuable, breakable things to a spare bedroom.
Yeah.
Um, and I quite often will move things around the house myself to, especially if I'm filming an interview.
Mm.
You want the background of the interview to look quite interesting. You want there to be lots of depth of field
Yeah.
and for there to be some interesting objects in the background. Often lamps and things look really nice in the background. So I do move things around myself and I'm really careful not to break anything. And I don't think I've ever had a situation where I have broken something. Um, but yeah, no, it can be quite scary, especially if you're filming somewhere with where they have lots of statues or things. It can be quite terrifying.
Yeah. And drifting away from that slightly, what are the other things that always fascinates me when you hear stories about or you see the clips of this one program where it's like you see like Mel Brooks being really confused of what on earth is going on, or Ricky Gervais just trying to upend the whole thing, or the fact that someone's made a podcast to take the mickey out of the whole thing, because it's like going from a depressing scene to a jolly thing. But what was it like working on the amazing um, program that's lasted so long, The One Show?
Oh, yeah, the one show, that was a great job. I was a VT producer, so I never got to be in the office with the team or in the studio. I was making the little films that would be broadcast during the show,
Yeah,
and they were produced by an independent TV company.
yeah,
I think it was Tigress that hired me to do that. Hired me to do it, make a few films for the one show. Because what will happen is independent TV companies will pitch ideas to the one show for topics they think they can cover, they can
yeah.
create. And so one of them was I remember going to Newcastle to investigate a female Muslim boxing club and to interview these really fascinating ladies that had started this club and what that meant to them and how what impact that was having on their self-esteem and their ability to exercise without, you know, um, kind of in privacy. It was fascinating. Some really great characters that I got to interview, and it got to get quite creative with the shots of the kind of people punching towards the camera and things. And um, yeah, it was a lot of fun. Got to work with Maureen Baig, who is an up-and-coming presenter for that as well. And then the other one was a bit bonkers. Um, it was a little film about a retired police officer, a dog handler, who had decided to set up a company, a business where he would track down people's missing cats with his sniffer dog. So,
Wow.
so they had this. He trained his
Yeah.
dog to find missing cats, and there was the person I was actually going. We were going to interview her, and her cat was missing,
Yeah.
and I was filming him coming to meet with her, filming, but it was a celebrity. It was a celebrity, and now I can't remember who it was, but it was like somebody from Grange Hill or something like that, or a page three model. It was someone really random that hadn't been on TV for years, but like a really big celebrity. And her cat had gone missing, and so I was out and about in this residential area filming her calling her cat and this this police dog handler and this dog trying to get the scent of this cat.
Wow.
And I still to this day don't know if they found the cat.
And I think that sort of screams the one shot because you can. It's like you don't see it as much now, but in its heyday, you would have this juxtaposition of depressing to silly. It's like a woman putting a cat in a bin to then having having a correspondent in a war zone, and then having to talk about a children's program about a dog that runs around a lot. I think that the one show just screams it's for everyone, but no one all at the same time, and it's one of those that when you there's a podcast called The One Show Show where they get really, really professional people like journalists and really professional people to take the mickey out of an episode of The One Show. And they just and like they're really like they're not even like comedians. They are properly like politicians and people that you would respect in a normal sense. But in this podcast, they're like, "Oh, look at Alex George and now talking about some flowers, and now I have to interview someone about diving." And it's like you can tell the one show is a hybrid of interesting ideas. And do you think that's why so many uh, so many production companies try and get involved in it because there isn't a particular format. They'll take anything.
Yeah, yeah, and I think that kind of sums up what it's like to work in TV in general, really, because you get to do one thing one week and the next week something completely different. And I think TV is probably made up of a bunch of such different groups of people
Yeah,
and different companies, like you said. They've all got different disciplines, different backgrounds, different ideas, and it's a bit of a melting pot. I mean, like my first week at the BBC,
mm,
I remember walking around the outside of, like, Television Centre. There's
yeah,
an area called the Donut, which is like the
yeah,
circular bit, and then round the back of that, there's an area that's kind of like, yeah, like there's a road all the way around the back
yeah,
where we used to have like the prop house, and where they'd put all the scenery and stuff. And I remember walking around there because I had to deliver a tape somewhere or something as a runner, and seeing Paul O'Grady running around there with a mini Shetland pony and a trombone. And like I had no idea why, but he was running as fast as he could with this real life Shetland pony, trying to get it to come follow him to get to like another entrance in time for his, and like I think he must have been doing a live show, and he was trying to get there on time. And it was just I was like, okay, now I've seen everything. Like, but that's what it's been like ever since. Like every week there's something else that's weird.
yeah. Did you ever find out why he was hanging around with a Shetland pony?
No, I should probably look it up in the archive, shouldn't I? See if I
Yeah,
can find out, if I can
yeah,
pinpoint the date.
yeah. There's I don't know where I can't remember where it is, but there's a place where the public can just go and ransack the archive, and you think of it like really intelligent people, but there is probably a few people that want to find like the stupidest thing they've ever seen in the archive.
Yeah.
And just try and they're just pretending they're for research purposes, but they're really just trying to find Paul and Grady with a Shetland pony. Um, I mean Paul and Grady with a pony in the first place, not even on camera. It it's one of those moments you wish was on camera. Um,
Yeah,
it's like
definitely. There might be some CCTV. I mean, that would be
yeah,
gold, wouldn't it?
it's like it's like a CCTV highlight of the week. And it's just Paul and Grady just running around. Um, I mean. I mean, that should have been a program of its own. And I think that it shows that the TV industry, uh, particularly now in a more serious sense, but is more of a unpredictable. And do you think that that's one of the draws people have to that world? Because you might ask someone what TV you into, and they could say comedy to like reality to like a really like horrible thriller of everyone's heads being chopped off every week. Do you think that that's why a lot of people love to go and work in TV because they can fill their passions in every area?
Yeah, I think there's probably lots of different types of people, but I there's two key people, two types of people that I think gravitate towards TV. The first is, like you said, people that you love the fact that no 2 days are the same. That you're going to sometimes you get to travel around the country and meet all sorts of different people and interview different people, or you're kind of um, investigating such different topics. Or like um, I filmed in prisons, I
Yeah,
filmed with the police, I filmed in hospitals, gotten to see all sorts of things. Um, so yeah, it's the diversity of what you get to do and learn so much about.
yeah,
And last year I was making films for the Imperial War Museum, so getting to learn all about the plane that bombed Hiroshima and about war artists. But then I think there's another group of people that that have really drawn to the technical side of it
Yeah,
as well. Um, and the kind of geek out over the cameras and the lenses and
yeah,
editing techniques and all that kind of thing. And maybe there's some crossover there, but yeah, that it is a big draw to kind of be working in a genre, an area where you could be you could be in all sorts of locations,
yeah.
and you could be doing all sorts of things and meeting all sorts of people. So yeah, it is that is a big draw.
Yeah, and I think the perfect example of that in a more of a it's when you look at this it's because it's all occurred to me recently is that Sandy Toksvig. If you look at the schedule now, she's on BBC One, BBC Two doing QI, so she's faffing around with comedy. It's at 9 p.m. on a Tuesday. At the same time, she's undercover in like like schools from years ago or more for, and then another time on another day she's cruising on a boat, and I think that that's also showcases that no matter what side of the TV field you're on, you could be doing anything any day. She could be filming 2 episodes of QI or finding a skull of a teenager that was badly treated 18.4 million years ago. That's probably not the right number, but it's a number. And do you think that that's why TV is the juggernaut that it's become? And I know that other mediums do very similar things, but I think TV showcases it a lot more. Do you think that that's why TV will never truly die out?
Well, I don't know if I think TV is under threat. I think I mean obviously there's TV and then there's streaming and there's YouTube. And if TV channels can pivot and evolve to being kind of more digital and understanding the digital audiences and young audiences better, then they might survive. But I mean, I think eventually linear TV will be a thing of the past, actually, because I think it's only the older generation that are really watching things, live. Um, I mean, apart from there's certain shows, obviously things like Taskmaster, people will tune in to watch all at the same time, or
Yeah,
The Traitors, because it's that kind of, that it's that kind of thing of watching it at the same time as
yeah,
everyone else and following the comments and things. But yeah, I think content creation
mm,
is here to stay, and it has a huge part to play in people's mental health,
yeah.
in the education, informing people, and in kind of sharing the world and ideas. It's a very exciting place to work and has a huge impact and a huge responsibility.
Yeah, and I think that one of the things that you can see that with like you said the popularity of the Traitor of the Taskmaster is that they were trying to promote one of the episodes of the last series of Taskmaster, and I can't remember which of the Andys because there's two of them that have very similar jobs. One of them pointed out that he said he's promoted the episode by saying "Don't be a traitor" and tune in to Taskmaster and Channel 4 at 9 p.m. because it was on the same time as Celebrity Traitors, so they were trying to see if they can try and get more viewers. Obviously, they didn't win, because everyone was going to Alan Carr instead of being going to Reece Shearsmith. I was trying to think of a very safe analogy for that, but I think it showcases that even between the program that people that know they're trying to compete against each other, you can see that they're trying to say, well, you can still join us, and they make references. And I think that sort of showcases that even though that they know other people know that more people are going to be watching something else, but they're still going to try and grasp our audience. Do you think that's what's hard when you get this program that you know that you've worked on and you really love it, but you know that the schedule isn't on at a great time because you know that something else that might be getting the million of viewers is on at the same time.
Yeah, that's yeah, because we put our heart and soul into these things. We literally come home bruised and with cuts all over you and nervous breakdown sometimes.
Yeah.
Because you really really work so hard. I mean, there was a show I worked on called oh God, it's called Badass Brides. That was not the title that it had when I agreed to work on it. Um, it was something like Bring on the Brides, but it was like a wedding series, and I filmed 11 weddings back to back, and sometimes working 19-hour days
Yeah.
because when you film a wedding, especially because you want to capture the drama and all the tantrums and everything, you have to start at like 6 a.m.
Yeah.
and you have to be filming all the way until 1 a.m.
Wow.
until the first dance and the last dance.
Yeah.
You have to kind of cover it all. So yeah, it's you're doing very long days, and it's I've forgotten what you were asking me.
Yeah. And
It's very high pressure, and I think when you don't when it's not seen by enough people,
yeah.
um that can be very bittersweet. Yeah, it can be very uh demoralizing. You put all that hard work and time into it. You're not paid a huge amount of money.
Yeah.
Um and yeah, and that especially can happen when you're creating content for YouTube as well, can't it?
Yeah.
That you can put also so much love and attention and ideas and time into something, and then it gets a few thousand views when something that you didn't put much time and effort into gets 400,000 views, and you're like, what?
Yeah. Uh,
Really odd.
and and one of the things you worked on, that I think that it's become so popular. It went to Australia and did an Australian version, which I mean it's such a unique format, and that's why it's lasted as long as it did and changed every time. But what was it like working on Back in Time for Tea?
Back in time for dinner.
Dinner, that was it
Yes.
there. I knew it was one of them.
It's the same thing, tea and dinner, isn't it?
Yeah.
Depending on where you're from. Um, oh yeah, that was great. That was lovely. What a lovely idea for a program. Really lovely company. It was wall to wall. Um, and yeah, it was very interesting. I was a big fan of that show um, because I love anything to do with history and period, getting to see different costumes and things. It was fantastic. Um, and yeah, it's done very well, isn't it? Just a great idea. Um, but yeah, that was a very technical role. I was doing a lot of camera work mainly. I had a producer with me who was doing more of the directing, so I got to kind of play with the camera as well on that one. It was very nice.
Yeah. And I think that the episodes that sort of capture why it's such a good format is the ones where it's like back in time for Christmas, and it's the ones where it's where they do it close to the age of where the parents were children. And you just sort of see that the joy of the kids of learning, but then it's also the joy of the parents going, I never got to have that. I wanted that. I never got to have it. And you never get really, you get that with other programs where it's like they're doing whatever, but for that, you can sort of just see that they're having so much fun, and you can see how sad they are when it's all over. Do you think that that's why it lasted so long with all its various spin-offs, like Back in Time for the Corner Shop and all the other various spin-offs? Do you reckon that's why it worked so well?
Yeah, it had the nostalgia. But I think the main reason why it worked so well was because of the casting. And I was at quite a few kind of industry seminars and events and things where and one of the panel discussions actually talked about Back in Time for Dinner
Yeah.
and about how kind of key it is to get the right cast. And I mean the mother was just amazing.
Mm.
Um because and when you're putting together a sort of reality experience or you're following contributors, you want to see them go on a journey. So and I think she was such a great casting because she wasn't a typical housewife. She wasn't there like a scene where she didn't know how to use a grater or something. I think absolutely brilliant, and then just her reactions to that,
Yeah.
and just the fact that she's a working woman. She has a career, and now she's expected to just stay at home and be the housewife,
Yeah.
and I think that is actually quite forward thinking for its time as well.
Mm.
Um, I mean, to kind of be showing that and to be emphasizing how far we've come
Yeah.
um, was wonderful. And but yeah, I think the reason they kept using that same family over and over again was because they were just great characters,
Yeah.
and it's so important to have characters that are kind of fish out of
Yeah.
water. And so you could get to see them challenged and get to see them go on a journey and to become different, to be changed by the end of it.
Yeah, and I think that when they did the series Back in Time for the Corner Shop, it wasn't at that point. It stopped being just this one group of people that experience it. Then it's public. Everyone else that lives near them experience it because they treated as real as possible. And I think
Mm.
that when you get like an old lady that will have bought a bag of, oh, I wouldn't say damn plastics, but a bag of sweets of whichever era we're on about that day, and it's the fact that that woman will have bought it from there. It's like, oh, I love doing that. And I think that that adds another layer to it when you
Mm.
involve the outside world. Once you keep them where they're at and learning about running the shop and that, but then it's the public. Do you think that's why the spin-offs were also really popular as well as the main show?
Yeah, it's that immersive thing again, isn't it? It's
Yeah,
that kind of being at home and thinking, "Oh, I wonder what I would have, how I would react to that, or
yeah,
what would I enjoy seeing?" And opening it up to more members of the public, you're kind of almost feels like you're getting to go into those shops or into those places yourself and experience it. So yeah, it does kind of resonate more and feel more, yeah, that kind of hits home more.
yeah. And I think that that's why the format works so well in other countries because the Australian version is if you blink you'll miss that it seems any different because once you watch 3 episodes you forget they're Australian the accent wears off on you and it's one of those formats that is just like it's like Taskmaster you can just take the concept and chuck it in any country and it will work and do you think that that's what makes a format so successful because it is so transferable from country to country.
Well, yeah, there's a financial aspect to that as well. That's all kind of built into the pitch
Yeah.
when these TV companies are pitching ideas, and if it has global appeal, if you're able to kind of repackage it up and sell it abroad, you're going to end up bringing in massive amount of revenue on, ongoing if they keep doing more and more series. So, and it becomes a kind of a product, a brand to sell. And there's some series that I've worked on where I've been involved in that. For example, I worked on the first series of GPs Behind Closed Doors, and I created the production Bible,
Yeah.
and that is actually that document is it kind of tells you step by step how to make the show.
Yeah.
And it helps the production team to kind of develop the show
Yeah.
and for everyone to kind of be on the same page and to be for all the camera people to be using the same style and for everyone to be using the same interview questions
Yeah.
and making sure there's coherence. But also, once the show's finished, you can use that document to sell it abroad.
Yeah.
So it's a very valuable document to have.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, that's I mean, channels and commissioners are very risk averse these
Yeah.
days, and they're looking for returnable series, and
Mm.
they're looking for long series like bulk, like not maybe less 3-part series or 6-part series, but more like 20
Mm.
part series or series that can keep coming back and back. They're not so interested in one-offs, and they're very interested in things that will sell abroad as well. So it's all financial, it's all business at the
Yeah.
end of the day, and yeah, being coming up with an idea that can translate to other countries, not
Yeah.
just translate, but actually be enhanced by being in other countries. Because the back in time for dinner thing,
Mm.
and all those formats that have gone abroad, you're kind of, I imagine its success very popular because it's it's not like watching the same thing again and again. It's different, as you said, it's different, isn't it? Because you're going to have a different history
Yeah.
and different trends and different products that they can look at from the past in different countries. So that's why it would work as well.
Yeah. And you mentioned there about having a folder with all the information, and I think that when you think about trying to like say for example, it's a random example, but Portugal. If you try to sell the program in Portugal, the documents are easier to translate because someone
Mm.
can easily translate them rather than what I've seen where Alex Horne appears on a Zoom call to speak to the Portuguese people as they're all in the production meeting going, right, how are we going to do Taskmaster in Portugal? And he's got to wait 4 more seconds while someone translates to him on Zoom because he's on a Zoom call with 3 other people and everyone else are in Portugal in the room discussing how do we make Taskmaster work here? And it's like he has to then try and work out what on earth is going on because you probably need 3 other translators because they're all probably speaking at different speeds.
So
Um,
what you're saying is that Alex Horn should hire me to write them a production Bible
yeah,
so that they can sell it abroad. This is an excellent idea. I like it. Yeah, I'll
it
pitch it
is.
to it.
Yeah. And one of the other things you've worked on is in a long stream of programs that involve this said very well-known machine that always endures some sort of like popularity or people just really fascinated why on earth people are into them in such intense that they are. But what was it like working on Love of Cars?
Oh, for the love of cars.
Yeah.
Gosh, that was quite a long time ago. When was that? When was that? I'm trying to think. Well, that was very fun and very exciting because my biggest, strongest memory from working on that was getting to be in a cage above a race course, a Silverstone race course.
Yeah.
Was it Silverstone or Goodwood? I think maybe it was Good, well, like one of the race
Yeah.
courses, but in a cage, dangling above a racetrack with my camera, trying to capture all the classic cars going underneath me.
Yeah.
I got some great photos of myself with the camera above a race. That was great. Bit terrifying, but really fun. And getting to interview a lot of the classic car owners as well. They were absolutely bonkers, that lot. Um, and then also filming, did I remember filming the auction of the actual vehicle because the two presenters had done up this vehicle over the course of the series and then they were auctioning it off.
Yeah.
So there was this big event and we were covering the auction. Um, and so yeah, that was very exciting getting to cover this live auction.
Yeah. And when you're in those situations where you're in a cage or you're in the similar environments, do you not worry that you're gonna drop the camera and break it instead of getting the shot you were supposed to get?
Oh yeah, absolutely. And yeah, you can have nightmares about that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, that oh yeah, very worried about that. I mean, I think I'm quite meticulous and I've I mean there have been some near misses. I worked on a series with Sarah Beanie
Yeah.
um called Sarah Beanie's Renovate Don't Relocate, and had such a tight schedule. We had like we had only had her like we had to film 10 episodes and she would come and she was in every episode and she would be with us in the morning until lunchtime and then she'd go off to my other colleague and film with them in the afternoon. So I only had her from like 10 until 12 or something, and I had to get all my pieces to camera with her, like the interview and the chat between her and the contributor and all this all crammed into these 2 hours, and so you're running around.
Yeah.
And I remember being out on the pavement outside a house and um I had my camera set up on a tripod. It was quite high up. It normally is very high up because I'm quite short and everyone else is a lot taller than me. So I have to have my camera quite high to get it at their eye line. And she was stood in front of me doing her pieces to camera, and I was directing her. And and these are pieces of camera I'd written as well because I'd written the scripts. And then we were in such a rush, and I needed something from inside, like a lens or something. So I'll just run and get it real quick. And I turned to run inside the house to get something. Totally forgot that I had headphones on and they were attached to the camera. And the camera just sort of went like the tripod went to go in the road, and there was a car coming, and I think it was Sarah Beanie like grabbed the grabbed the tripod and just literally centimeters away from the whole thing crashing into a car. But
Wow.
that's like yeah, that is a very extreme, very rare occurrence. But you know, I do worry about these things because I'm so kind of have such anxiety over that. I'm quite careful and I'm quite health and safety conscious, and I'm kind of quite anal about, if I'm allowed to say that, about those kind of things and giving safety talks and writing risk assessments and being very careful about things. I like to make sure everything's very safe, and I wouldn't have been in that cage above that race course if I hadn't checked with multiple different
Yeah.
people that it was all safe and like I wasn't going to fall from the sky or drop my camera on someone. Um, but yeah, because that would just be because when you're at the BBC and you do your health and safety training and
Yeah.
your risk assessment training, they show you loads of really scary videos.
Yeah.
And there's a very famous one, and I think it's Anthea Turner or someone sat on the back of a truck and how there was an explosion, some pyrotechnics, and it
Yeah.
and she got flung through the air or something. They show you loads of scary things like that, and and it kind of drums it into you. You've got to be really careful and
Yeah,
think through every possible nightmare scenario and what you're going to do to prevent it from happening.
yeah.
So I'm quite good at thinking through every single nightmare scenario to the point where my husband gets very annoyed with me because I'm always, saying, "Well, we can't do that because what if there's a fire? We can't do that because what if there's a burglar?" Like,
Yeah.
so it kind of affects your life as well.
And when you sat there watching these health and safety videos, I would have assumed at some point they would have played either my two favourite examples of recent John Noakes climbing up Nelson's column because why would you not give him a harness, or Peter Duncan trying to clean Big Ben saying, "Do I need a harness?" The bloke says, "No, you don't," as he sat on a plank of wood with rope. Now, I don't know how strong rope was in the 70s/80s. I'm assuming rope's technically strong, but he was just there, sat there, just cleaning and no harness. And I'm assuming that the BBC would have thought, yeah, I think we might want to show that's health and safety gone mad. And
Yeah.
do you think that do you think that health and safety has improved over time? You'll no longer have someone just sat on a plank of wood cleaning Big Ben.
I can't believe that's insane. I mean, I almost wonder, was that a joke and they really did have a harness? I don't know. I mean, that is absolutely insane. And yeah, it has improved. I mean, there's been horror stories. People have died. I mean, there's been there's the famous case on the what's that very famous Noel Edmonds show that happened. There was a very tragic
Oh yeah,
death and all sorts of awful things. I mean, one of the most common things is people falling asleep at the wheel after a long day of filming.
yeah,
Or there was a very recent example um, where there was a film crew filming on some train tracks, and
yeah,
they were told they weren't allowed to film on train tracks, but they thought, oh, we'll do it really
yeah,
quickly. And that the director was so insistent, I want this shot, I want it on the train tracks, and he forced everyone to do it, and somebody died, I think, or someone got injured. It was really tragic. So yeah, I think it's definitely things have improved, and when there's a high profile case like that, or like the shooting that happened with the Baldwin actor,
yeah,
I think high profile situations like that highlight the issue and things are tightened up even more.
yeah,
But I still think there are issues around crews getting enough sleep,
yeah,
or having enough time to do everything they need to do, and to not rush.
yeah,
That's still an ongoing problem. And then also the other problem that concerns me quite a bit is that as content is moving or more and more from TV to online, and YouTube is becoming more of a thing, and a lot of crews are now, and camera people and directors are now starting to work more with YouTubers and
yeah,
with organizations that have YouTube channels. Those YouTube channels don't have the same production experience or the
yeah,
same training or the same sense of of these things being important. And
yeah,
so I've worked on a lot of YouTube channels where, I've worked on one YouTube channel for a high profile band, for example, where 3 months into the job, I found out they didn't even have insurance.
oh,
Or I've worked at another place where, they've never ever had a risk assessment procedure before
yeah,
until I came along and set one up. So it's kind of like it's all going to start from scratch
yeah,
if we go, because we're all going kind of digital.
yeah,
These organizations, everyone's got their own channel now, but none of them have got the kind of skills or experience or kind of knowledge that of health and how
yeah,
important health and safety is. Whereas TV has that history of it and um, and has trained everyone very well in that. Hmm.
yeah. And stepping away from TV slightly, where did your because another thing you do in life is art. Where did your love of art begin?
I think it began when I was li very little, like a child, because my mum said that she would be cooking in the kitchen when I was like 4 or something, and she'd set up an easel in the kitchen, and I would just draw and draw
Yeah,
pictures constantly. And then she's got this picture up on the wall somewhere at home that I drew a portrait of Florence Nightingale when I was 10,
yeah,
and everyone thought it was amazing. Um, so I was always quite encouraged to be artistic, and then I did GCSE art and got an A star in that, and I won some competitions. But when I became a TV director, that all kind of went on the back burner. It was all, TV was all consuming, and I'd
Mm.
sometimes be away from home for 3 months, in Spain, filming a holiday series or out on the road doing all sorts of things, or just working long hours and not having any time for art. Thought I'd always thought maybe I should have gone into art, or maybe I could have a side business.
Yeah.
And so I thought this is a great opportunity for me to set up an art business and get back into art. And I started watching Portrait Artist of the Year and Landscape Artist of the Year. And yeah, that really inspired me. Started watching Portrait Artist of the Week, which was their online Facebook
Yeah.
thing where you could paint along. And they would you send in your pictures, and my picture got up on the wall, on their digital wall. And then and Russell Tovey held up my picture that I did of him.
Yeah.
And that really yeah, things like that. And then I also wanted to do something for my local community. Other people on around me were doing amazing things like helping people get their groceries, or just looking out for each other. And I just wanted to do something for everyone's mental health. And I came up with this idea to do a big art project that we could all do together, but in our homes. And I created the big picture, which was this this kind of this like 40 canvases. Each person would have a little small piece of the puzzle, and they'd all get to paint the piece of the picture, and then we'd assemble it all together later on. And so yeah, I kind of did that and got my Etsy shop going and started doing commissions for portraits, and it all kind of took off from there.
Yeah, and I do think that like shows like the Portrait Artist of the Year, Landscape Artist of the Year, and then their spin-off Masterclass of the Year, or whatever they call that, with previous people that appeared on one of the two shows, and well, it didn't matter which show they appeared on, but they all had the same skill. And do you think that because of having that skill in art, do you think that that helped when it came to work with TV? Because TV in itself is an art, everything is an art form, but TV is a particular art form that sort of like mirrors like drawing, if you will, because you technically trying to draw the image that's in front of you. Do you think having that art passion and background helped you when it came to working in TV?
Absolutely. That's a fantastic point. I mean, two main reasons. But firstly, from a visual point of view, because I mean, even just breaking down a shot, a composition of a shot is very similar to a composition of a painting. You have a thing called the rule of thirds, and you have the golden ratio, and these techniques are used in both art and film. So, for example, um, I'm the way I'm positioned right now is not is not how I would position myself if I was filming an interview. I would position myself over to the side, give myself some looking room, and you divide your screen into three. So you have three columns here, three rows, and you'd make sure the eyes are on the thirds. And this you do the same for art. So that yes, it definitely helped from a visual point of view, helped me kind of compose artistic shots, not just in interviews, but in cutaways and all sorts of things like that. But also from a storytelling point of view, I think actually it was the other way around with the storytelling, that my filmmaking helped me become a better
Yeah,
artist, because when I was an artist before, when I was younger and I was creating art, I was very literal and I was just painting what I saw. Whereas now I try to tell a story through my art. And I think my filmmaking has really influenced that.
yeah, and you sort of get, and it's hard to, like when you do films and whatnot, you can tell what the story is, but with art and photography and all those still-based varieties, it's hard to work out what the story is. But I think when you watch shows like Portrait Artist, you like that bloke last week that was painting Jack Ruck, and it looked like you could barely see that Jack was in there, and eventually, once you clocked on where his nose was, you saw the rest of his face in this sort of abstracty world. Do you think that that shows that art is another storytelling form? Because some people might look at flowers from Vincent van Gogh and go, they're just flowers. The people we just had them lying around. Do you think that when you see abstract art like that, do you reckon that helps the non-arty people understand what is going on in that painting?
Yeah, I think well, firstly, I think one some people think the test of a good piece of artwork is how long you need to stand in front of it to be able to understand it.
Yeah,
And if you're in an art gallery and you're stood in front of a painting and you're stood there and you can look at it for a long time, then that's a good test of whether it's a good piece of art. And maybe it's because you're trying to figure things out, or you're trying to figure out what the story is. And maybe that's a good thing because it's challenging you. And it's kind of making you use your imagination and come up making you come up with a story yourself. So it's quite immersive. And then the other thing would be, I mean, I think that also once you start to, there's some art that when you first see it, you think, oh, I don't like that, that's
yeah,
rubbish, or it doesn't look that impressive. But then when you hear the story behind it,
yeah,
it massively changes your opinion of the art itself. So,
yeah.
for example, a really good example of that from my experience is Tracy Emin,
Mm,
that I remember years ago seeing her paintings, her kind or drawings and paintings of women in kind of quite sexual poses and things, and thinking, oh, they're quite sketchy, and
yeah,
she's not tried to make them look really photorealistic or anything.
yeah,
But then I watched a documentary about her called What Do Artists Do All Day?
yeah,
And this is one of the best documentaries I've ever seen and one of the best series I've ever seen. And I highly recommend it. There's some really good episodes, and hers is really good. And I just absolutely fell in love with her as
yeah,
a person, as an artist. And I totally understood what her artwork was about.
yeah,
And also I got to see her early artwork and that she used to do quite photorealistic stuff. She is very skilled, talented artist,
yeah.
and but her work now is more meaningful.
Mm,
And it challenges you more. And it's more confronting.
yeah,
So yeah, I think storytelling in art is I think artists or a lot of artists try to kind of incorporate story and to be more kind of impactful.
yeah,
Try and incorporate more story into my artwork. It can be quite difficult and
yeah,
quite challenging thing to do,
yeah.
especially if you're used to painting in a certain style
Mm,
and being very kind of rigid. You've got to kind of learn. I'm trying to learn to be a bit looser with my art and try and be a bit more conceptual and put
yeah.
more kind of my own life or pain or trauma or whatever into it. But it's yeah, a very interesting topic.
Yeah, and I think that what for people like me that aren't really into the whole step going to a gallery and going, oh, that's someone having dinner. Oh, yay! And that doesn't really interest me that much. But watching shows like the Portrait Landscape Artist of the Year and that one where I don't know what the name is, but one of the judges off the Artist of the Year program, she goes to someone's house for a week. She takes her iPhone and she's inside someone's house. So it's like once she was in the lives of these three women that wear, I don't know, I think it's a dog mask. They try and hide their identity. Um, and she was trying to not film them when they weren't wearing the masks. And she's taken her iPhone for a week. And it's in their lives of who are in their homes, who are they. And there was one woman that didn't really want to be there in her own home. And she really wanted everyone just to leave her alone. But she then fell in love with the process of it's like a conversation because the crew have all left, and it's just her, it's just the artist, the presenter, and the iPhone. And I think that that showcases that art is more than just walking in a gallery going, "That's someone eating their dinner." And do you think that that sort of helps to bring art to the more to the public rather than just the art lovers?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, absolutely. That series I mentioned is amazing.
Yeah,
Getting to see like even the title, "What Do Artists Do a Day?" I think is a
yeah,
brilliant title and it sums it up. There was another one in the series that followed Rakib Shaw, who's
mm,
another one of my favorite artists, just literally from watching this series.
yeah,
I just really like him now because he's so eccentric.
yeah,
And it really kind of changes my opinion of his art, just seeing what kind of person someone is. And he lives this life that I would love to live. He has this salon and he has like he employs a full-time pianist to play so that he can paint to having a pianist in the background, and he employs a florist to come and decorate his art studio with flowers
Yeah.
constantly so that he can like it's just like a fantasy.
Yeah.
What like imagine have being like imagine having being like financially able to do that or
Yeah.
to live that life as an artist, being able to be that creatively free and inspired every day, and to create a salon where other creatives can come and hang out
Yeah.
and create art with you. That is just amazing. But like I wouldn't have known any of that if I hadn't have watched that documentary, and I wouldn't even look twice at his work. I mean,
Yeah.
his artwork is interesting in itself. It's weird, but
Yeah.
knowing who's behind it and how he got there, that he didn't just create these artworks. He has this whole team, and he
Yeah.
has a pianist playing when he makes it, and he uses a projector, and just it's fascinating. And the same with Tracy Emin, and yeah, I love the stories behind these artists' lives. I love Frida Kahlo and her story, and documentary and biopics. They kind of I think really help people to kind of understand art more.
Yeah. And stepping away slightly from the world of TV and art, and throughout this interview, you've mentioned the online world, and it's and now is a great time to segue to it. But what are the things I've seen in recent years that have sort of made me go, that is what the internet's for. So, for example, Richard Herring clearing stones, or it's mainly Richard Herring playing snooker with himself, um, which is something that I never thought I would ever catch myself watching, but watching it, you realise he's gone insane. But insane in a good way. It's creative genius. But what's it like being involved in what I like to call the creme de la creme of the internet? What's it like being involved in Washing Up Club?
Wow, Washing Up Club is an epic project with an epic presenter. Um, a bit of a diva, to be honest. Um, we are talking about Ben Rufus Green, who is also my husband. I mean, yeah, it's a lot of fun. It's almost every Sunday, and so my kitchen is taken over by Ben, and I can't go in and make myself toast or anything, which is quite annoying to be honest. But he does make me a cup of tea, doesn't he, every time during the show, and he feeds the cats, so at least they're taken care of. Um, and I'm actually what's it called? I'm like a creative consultant. That's my that's my official title on the show. But I sort of help guide the discussion a little bit, and I make if there's a prop to be made, it's me that makes it. So I don't know if you remember the episode where Ben was wearing a washing up themed crown.
Yeah.
That was me. I made that.
Yeah.
And there was another episode where he had to open a a washing up themed mystery box.
Uh,
I put that together. I had a lot of fun going around the charity shops finding tat to put in a box for him to open live on camera. Yeah, it's really fun. It's our kitchen, and Eyes on Legs. Daniel Reed wrote and composed and recorded an amazing theme tune, which is legendary. And we're like kind of talking about pitching it as a TV kind of Saturday morning or Sunday morning kind of show for TV, because I think it would just be a great kind of like you remember Light Lunch with Mel and Sue?
yeah.
I
Yeah.
can kind of see it being something like that. Just Ben
Yeah.
washing up, having guests on, maybe
Yeah.
some washing up competitions, some wash offs, or washing up offs, or whatever
Yeah.
you call it, and some live chat, and maybe a craft or cookery section.
Yeah. And
Yeah,
yeah, and I don't know if you've ever seen it's a brilliant example called This Morning with Richard Not Judy, and it's
yeah,
Richard Herring and Stuart Lee, and it's what and because the amount of stories you said you get away with so much, I think it's one of those that Washing Up Club could easily do that. You could easily just have this premise that sounds really like it's like a really nice. It's similar to Sunday Brunch, but when you watch it, you could just have absolutely loads going on like a crow just appearing out of nowhere. Like, but it's not like an actual crow. It's a bloke dressed in a crow costume, pretending to be a crow. And I do think that there's scope for it, and I think that it's one of those pieces of entertainment, is what I'm going to call it, where you don't think you would be interested in a spoon being washed up. It's like when if you're watching like a reality program like, oh, I don't know, Teen Mums UK, you wouldn't be, it doesn't sound like something you're interested in, but once you see it, you go, actually, I'm really gripped. I want to see why this recycling being clean, and you question your own philosophy. And beforehand, I wouldn't have even thought of washing up tins and whatnot. And now it's all I can think of. Get near us and could go, that tin needs washing.
Yeah, I tell you what the be one of the best things about it is the people that watch the regulars. We have so many amazing regulars as well. Um, like yourself and who else do we have? We've got Feely and um Phil. Oh gosh, I'm gonna forget all their names. But
Yeah.
we have an amazing bunch of people that ask crazy questions and that almost heckle Ben. And and there's an ongoing argument about whether Ben should be rinsing the plates um, after after washing them, which obviously the right answer is yes.
Yeah.
And we keep having this argument, but and everyone is on my side, but he still doesn't change what he does. But anyway, and I get to make an appearance sometimes, um, and people love seeing the cats as well. But yeah, it's funny, isn't it? It's like I don't know whether like is the washing up, like in your opinion, is the washing up, are people actually watching? Because I don't get to see people in their homes watching this. I'm fascinated.
Yeah.
I want to know what you think. Are people actually watching for the washing up, or are they watching for like Ben's banter, or are they watching because me and Ben sometimes have arguments during the show, or for the cats, or like what is it? Or sometimes there's celebrity guests. I'm so fascinated why this is. I mean, I think I know that it's something special, but
Yeah.
it's like I don't know if I can pinpoint exactly why.
Well, I think my dad sums it up is that he's confused as well. Every time he hears about it, he starts laughing, and then when he sees it, he goes, "Wow!" And then when he suggests to say something, and then he reads it out, then he's just becomes hilarious, and then the conversation keeps on going. But it's one of those where you watch it for everything. You want to see sometimes when he says, "Oh, I've dedicated a spoon to you," you want to see what spoon he's going to choose or what item he's and it's the fact that he recommends different meals. He's like, "Oh, this one's nice. This is really nice. Oh, I recommend. Oh, no, that was awful. It
Yeah,
tastes like dog poop." And it's one of those when you watch it for everything,
yeah,
and then you hear him just argue, and it's the fact that he argues with Dan Fern over the fact that Dan Fern got more auditions than him.
yeah.
And it's like we're not even in the same room together.
An ongoing rivalry between the two of them.
Yeah,
Yeah, no, I think if we did the TV idea,
yeah,
we'd have to incorporate that audience somehow. Like I really feel strongly that there's quite a few characters that in the chat that contribute
yeah,
quite a lot to the show. They would have to be involved somehow, like either like as featured commenters, like that we need to see their like comments come up on screen, or like or like to actually have a role in person. That
yeah.
they have to be involved somehow because they're so funny and the things that you know, the kind of heckle, the kind of stuff they say to Ben is brilliant.
Yeah, it's
Um,
like there's a program that used to be on called The Ranga Nation. And
mm,
when they came back to in the later series, they had everything on Zoom. So they had the guests in one room, and they had all the people minding their own business in their own house, and they would give their advice. His mother would be involved, obviously, because it's him, but he has to have his
oh
mother
yeah,
involved.
yeah.
Um, and which isn't always a bad thing, depending on what show he's on. But it's the fact that they had the audience there, and I think that that could work if you couldn't get them in the studio audience, having them beaming from their own homes
Mm.
and so that you can have like a segment where you have a chat with one of them, and it might be like Sheldon Electrical talking about how his TV business is going all right, and then you have like a VT of him selling something, but on every screen it's a Cockfield he's playing, or you just have like little gags, and I think it could work
Mm.
as a TV show to rival Saturday Kitchen, which in my opinion deserves adverts because it's really awkward otherwise. That's why Sunday brunch works, as they get to cut to adverts instead of just one person staring into space. But
Sheldon Electricals. Sheldon Electricals is another great
yeah,
person that watches and comments and says great things. And there's also the ding, isn't there?
yeah,
When anyone on the chat makes a joke or a quip or a, yeah, they get a ding. Gives a bell or some kind of sound effect, and
yeah,
everyone loves that. And they get very upset if they don't get if he misses it and doesn't do a ding.
yeah, and
Brilliant.
yeah, and it's and she won't mind me saying it, but if he doesn't stream for a while, my mum gets concerned about him now.
Oh,
She's got so invested in hearing it from other rooms. She gets concerned and thinking, what's up with him? When no, no, he's back now. She'll phew, phew. And so as we're all minding our own business, as long as she can just hear me just pen as I'm walking around doing whatever I'm doing. And
yeah.
it is one of those things. It's the only reason why I use Twitch now. It's the only reason why I never used it before because I didn't understand it enough. But now all I understand that it's there. If you want to watch someone wash up, then that's the place to go. Or if you want to watch
Have
a
you
ninja.
have you ever washed up while watching what Ben washed up?
No, because my extent of washing up is rinsing it and putting it in a dishwasher.
Ah,
I think it's more underwhelming. If I was filming me washing up, that would be very underwhelming. It'd be the dishwasher, it'd be done in 4 minutes. And then just maybe stood around going, "What now?" As I nearly fall over.
this is
But
why I'm not allowed to get a dishwasher because we wouldn't have a show. So, but at least I've got well, Ben's my dishwasher, I guess. That's one thing.
and and um and I do think one of the key highlights is the fact that even when it's not on, you can listen to the theme tune on Spotify and Apple Music. So I've got it in one of my Apple Music playlists.
That's amazing.
And I do randomly play it because it's a very good danceable song to dance to.
And
Uh,
the same person that wrote and recorded that recorded new tracks for us for Artmaster.
yeah, wow,
Same composer, a musician. Eyes on Legs.
yeah.
Daniel Reed, very talented chap.
There we go. So as we draw towards the end of this uh, excellent interview, and we've cleaned it up very nicely, uh, I, that's a very poor joke. We're at this part of the interview where you can tell people without giving away your home address. Where can people track you down online?
Wow. I've got an Instagram, Rather Nice Art. I've got a website, ratherniceart.com. I've got another website, catnipfilms.com. So those are my two sides of my career business stuff, art and film. And I've got an Etsy shop, Rather Nice Art. So Ben came up with that name. He always takes credit for that.
And have you got anything interesting and exciting that you're allowed to talk about that you're excited for people to see, hear, or read or look at?
Oh, well, I'm going to be putting a lot more effort into my own YouTube channel,
Yeah.
which again is Rather Nice Art. Um, I've sort of launched it this year. I haven't done too much with it, but my ambition is to kind of dominate all of YouTube with my YouTube channel. So, um, yeah, I'm going to be uploading a lot more videos more regularly soon. Lots of it's mostly kind of art content, kind of art tutorials or
Yeah.
just silliness, art challenges, mystery box challenges and stuff like that. So yeah, that's what I've got coming out mostly, and I'm looking at doing some stuff on like some courses, like
Mm.
running some art courses and some art workshops. And I'm working on Squid Games, the live experience at the moment, which is a lot of fun, and it's going to be ending soon. I think it's only running until January, so come and see it. Come and take part before it goes because it's a lot of fun. Um, and me and Ben are also going to be filming soon as well. We've got quite a lot of things scheduled to shoot. We're going to be doing a web series.
Yeah.
We're doing or two web series actually. One that's kind of a mockumentary style thing, which is a lot of fun. Another that's a kind of sci-fi involving our cat Willow. And and we're also filming some sketches, one which is about broccoli.
Ooh.
So and he's entered us into some film festivals and things, so wish us luck for that.
Well, there we have it. Now, Just before we do skedaddle with this interview, when the people go to the Squid Game live experience, just so that no one's actually horrendously worried, no one actually dies at the end, do they?
If they behave, then we allow them to walk out. Yeah. If you're naughty, we do kill you in a very bloody way. No, we don't. Nobody dies, and you get to play all the games. You play 5 games over the course of an hour, and you get to play everyone. Even if you don't do so well in the first one, you still get to play every single game, and it's a lot of fun.
So, if you're a fan of doing live experience, go and do that and probably try and do better. I did the Taskmaster live experience and I was called the loser, and you had to do a game at the end where you had to try and win to be the loser of losers. But because I got no points, I was just the loser. I even lost at being the loser. So I literally the woman that was being the assistant was pointing at me, going, "You are the loser," because everyone was doing really well. My brother did better than me. All these friends did better than me, and I even failed at being bad at. I was bad at failing, uh, and
It's not your fault though. You know what? I didn't do very well either, and I think the reason is they didn't have any creative tasks.
no,
We would have done a lot better if there'd been, a filmmaking task or a drawing task or something, because
yeah,
we're creatives. But it was not aimed at creatives.
no, it was aimed at people that knew numbers. Because I definitely knew when I put in the number. I put in the number right that I thought I did, but I didn't realize you had to get the third number to zero. And so I had a number left over by accident, so my score was a lot higher than it should have been. It was a three-digit number instead of a two-digit number. And
Mm.
so there we have it, another glorious interview. Now the question is, will this be the last interview of the year? Because it is November. Who knows? Only time will tell. If time does start telling me that it's the last one, then I'll be really concerned because why time's sentient? It shouldn't be real. It should only be ticking on because time's something that no one understands, including both Brian Cox's. So there we have it. Thank you guys for watching, and remember, no, I've forgotten.